This is full disgrace and pretty much unprecedented as far as we can see. We were told Prince Andrew couldn't stop being a prince because he was a son of the late Queen, but they've found a way to do it, and they've found a way to do a lot else besides. And he's going to, as you said, no longer live in Windsor, but in a sort of internal exile.
Breaking tonight. Not since the Tudors has a royal edict landed with such a seismic shockwave. Buckingham Palace confirms a major shakeup. King Charles III has formally stripped Prince Andrew of his prince title, style, honors, and ordered him to vacate the royal lodge. He will now be known simply as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. This isn't just a demotion, it's an obliteration. A man born into privilege, once heir to a gilded destiny, now cast adrift, stripped bare, and exiled from the very essence of his identity. The Crown, in a move of unprecedented audacity, has finally drawn a line in the sand. But it's not just about one disgraced duke. This isn't just a royal scandal. This is the moment a nation, battered by whispers and betrayals, finally said, enough. And tonight, Britain watches, utterly transfixed, as the old guard crumbles. It didn't start in the hallowed halls of Windsor. It started long before, in the murky depths of a global financial network, a web spun with influence, power, and dark money. For years, whispers circulated about a shadowy offshore investment firm, Crownstone Capital, with deep, untraceable ties to political figures, and even, some dared to suggest, certain members of the extended royal household. Their specialty? Facilitating golden visas for the ultra-rich, bypassing conventional scrutiny, and investing heavily in exclusive government-backed infrastructure projects across the Commonwealth. The official line was economic development, a beacon of global British enterprise. The reality? A business pipeline worth an estimated $8 billion, funneling capital through a labyrinth of shell corporations, each transaction veiled in secrecy. Crownstone Capital consistently secured lucrative contracts for projects ranging from luxury resorts in the Caribbean to strategic energy initiatives in Africa. One particular firm, Albion Holdings, linked through a maze of directors to Crownstone, stood out. They contributed a staggering $5, $2 million to various political campaigns just before securing exclusive land development rights for a massive urban regeneration project in northern England. A project that coincidentally required the compulsory purchase and demolition of over 10,000 historic homes, many owned by working-class families and small businesses. This wasn't policy, it was preparation, a financial machine disguised as progress. And when the signatures dried, Britain's trust went with them. Then came the leak, the point of no return. 312 pages of confidential documents, stamped Crownstone Eyes Only, PM's clearance required, landed in newsroom inboxes across the country. Inside, bank transfers, referral fees, encrypted memos, and shockingly, a series of advisory consultation agreements with senior patron AMW, detailing a percentage of profits from select Crownstone ventures. The initials sent a chill down the spines of seasoned journalists. As those files spread across the nation, the anger left the headlines and hit the streets. The leak didn't just expose corruption, it unleashed it. By morning, Britain looked like a country betrayed. From the proud fishing villages of the North Sea to the industrial heartlands, thousands of families stood outside the homes they no longer owned, their lives uprooted for a development they never wanted. Doors locked, names erased from generations of local records. Some clutched faded photos of their grandparents in front of the cottages now slated for demolition. Others held eviction letters stamped, Albion Holdings Acquisition. One of them, a retired shipyard worker named Margaret Jones, 72, had lived in her terraced house for 50 years. She told reporters, "I built this house with my bare hands after the war. Now, they want to build a spa resort over my memories. What did I fight for?" Local councils admitted over 10,000 homes had been acquired for the Albion Holdings project since its inception. Entire blocks flattened within weeks, replaced by construction zones guarded by private security. Meanwhile, luxury properties across London, secretly purchased through Crownstone subsidiaries, stood empty, waiting for foreign investors. The same nation that once built victory from rubble now leaves its citizens on the pavement. Each protest banner isn't just anger, it's loss. Each chant, a warning. Britain's future has been sold to the highest bidder. And as dusk falls over the nation, one question echoes through the crowd. How much more will they take before the country takes it back? The anger finally broke its walls. By dusk, the streets of London were choked with protesters. Lines of police in riot gear held shields that shook under the pressure of hundreds of thousands, chanting, "Homes for Britain, not for deals." Flares lit the night red. Sirens screamed against the roar. In Manchester, crowds swarmed the offices of Albion Holdings, demanding answers. In Glasgow, protesters carried banners reading, "Our homes, our heritage." Across Leeds and Bristol, government offices burned with candlelight vigils that turned into marches. Officers were pelted with coins, leaflets, and fury. Dozens were injured, more than 600 arrests reported nationwide. But the chants didn't stop. They grew synchronized. One heartbeat across a nation betrayed. Inside Downing Street, aides pulled blinds as chanting shook the walls. The crowd wasn't asking anymore. It was demanding. What began as protest became a reckoning. And when the gates of public trust finally buckled, Britain crossed a line it can't step back from. Even as chaos spread, the government turned inward, not to confess, but to contain. Late that night, the Home Office issued a data security directive, ordering staff to erase files linked to Crownstone Capital and Albion Holdings. Servers went dark, hard drives were pulled. At 2 a.m., civil service emails vanished from the government archive. Over 15,000 records deleted in 4 minutes. A whistleblower captured the screen logs before they disappeared, bravely sending them to independent journalists. By dawn, the Prime Minister's press office blamed foreign interference, but digital forensics confirmed the wipe came from an internal Downing Street address. In Parliament, opposition MPs demanded a full inquiry. The Prime Minister's allies stalled, citing ongoing national security matters. The words were code for panic. Behind closed doors, legal teams drafted denials. One leaked text from a senior advisor read, "If Crownstone goes down, we all go down." The cover-up wasn't damage control. It was confession by deletion. And as more files vanished, the streets filled again. Proof that no firewall can contain betrayal. When power feels cornered, it reaches for control. Within 48 hours, emergency orders were signed, granting police expanded powers to restrict gatherings. Curfews hit London, Manchester, and Glasgow. Social media posts mentioning Albion Holdings or Crownstone Capital were flagged as potential unrest. Police raided homes of protest organizers before dawn. Dozens of veterans and pensioners were detained under the Public Order Act, accused of inciting instability. Among them, Margaret Jones, the 72-year-old shipyard worker, dragged from her car by 3 officers. Television anchors called for calm, but calm died days ago. The crackdown turned fury into defiance. Crowds returned with louder chants. "We built this country," echoing through Westminster. Drone footage showed police lines collapsing near Trafalgar Square as tear gas filled the air. The government called it restoration of order. The people called it war on truth. By nightfall, the flag over Parliament hung in smoke, and Britain learned what happens when a government silences those it swore to serve. Inside Parliament, the illusion cracked. During a heated emergency session, MPs shouted across the chamber, "Where's the Prime Minister?" The Speaker slammed the gavel until it splintered. The Prime Minister entered under escort, pale, surrounded by security. Opposition benches erupted. "Resign! Resign!" A document held aloft. The same Crownstone Capitol ledger, now shown on live television, detailing the advisory consultations with senior patron AMW. Margaret Jones, her face bruised from her arrest, stood in the gallery in defiance, one hand clutched to a worn photo of her old home. The moment froze the room. Then came the motion, a vote of no confidence. Within hours, cabinet members began resigning. 7 in a single day. Financial markets crashed overnight. Downing Street curtains stayed shut. The nation wasn't watching politics. It was watching implosion. For 90 agonizing seconds, the chamber was silent, an unprecedented hush that echoed across the nation. Then, from the gallery, a single voice, Margaret Jones, clear and strong, whispered, "For Britain." And the chant began again, softer, unified, unstoppable. While Downing Street hid behind curtains, the Crown stood in daylight. And for millions, that was enough to remember who they were fighting for. Tonight, the story isn't about one man's fall. It's about a nation waking up. From the bulldozed homes of the working class to the hallowed halls of Parliament, the message is the same. Enough. The threes. 8 billion scandal may end one career, but it has rewritten British history. Because once the country sees the truth, it cannot unsee it. The protests aren't dying, they're multiplying. City to city, street to street, voice to voice. This isn't collapse anymore, it's correction. And as the smoke clears over Westminster, one line remains etched in every banner. We are Britain, and we remember. If you believe truth still matters, subscribe to British Magazine and never look away. Thank you for watching.